Hello, I'm Taylour Tedder, City Manager for Boulder City, and welcome to the latest episode of Tedder Talks, a once-a-month look at issues and people impacting Boulder City. Several months of input and discussions with the community helped formulate Boulder City's strategic plan in 2018. The city issued surveys and staff engaged with the public in workshops. The plan, a document that set the course for the city's tactics for sustainability and economic resilience for 2020 through 2025. The plan had 5 major goals: achieve prudent financial stewardship, invest in infrastructure, manage growth and development, promote historic preservation, and sustain a high level of public safety services. Each of these had implementation action items to measure success. Despite the 2020 COVID year, the plan stayed on schedule. In 2023, the city completed the action items in the 2020 to 2025 strategic plan. Now, the city's ready to start a new plan. The city recently selected the firm Emergent Method to develop the next strategic plan for 2025 through 2030. Joining me today is Managing Director, Dr. Robyn Stiles. Welcome, Robyn.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here with you this afternoon.
So can you tell me a little bit about what a strategic plan is?
Absolutely, and that is a very big question, but we'll start with sort of the top line. So strategic plan is a document that helps guide an organization, and so that can be anything from a municipality, in this case obviously a city, to a broader organization, state-level organization, higher ed institution. But the strategic plan really lays out what that organization hopes to accomplish in a set period of time and gets everybody rowing in the same direction as they think about how to make progress towards those shared goals.
Why is it beneficial to a community to have an adopted strategic plan?
Absolutely. So especially at the community level, a strategic plan can and generally is the culmination of many points of input from community members. And it is really that aggregated response from the community that shows what those shared priorities are. It helps identify those shared values that can be an underlier for the community as they think about decisions that they need to make in the near or medium term length of time. And it also provides an opportunity for the community to come together and really celebrate where they've been and the progress that they've made looking back a few years.
Our plan here in Boulder City has typically been 5 years. How often should a community commit to a strategic plan?
So that really depends on the community. I'd say 5 years really is that sweet spot. We've worked with organizations that do strategic planning anywhere between 3 to 10 years. I would say 3 years is a little bit difficult because it doesn't really give you that runway to implement the goals and the strategies that you've identified in that strategic plan. While 10 years can be a little bit long, I think all of us can agree that especially the last few years, things have moved at a very quick pace. And so again, 5 years really is that sweet spot. I'm excited for this opportunity to get to work with y'all as we think about what that next 5 years for Boulder City looks like.
What can change a plan or change its action items as you're perhaps going through that plan?
Yes, so planning is incredibly important. To very much steal a quote from somebody much smarter than me, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? But even the best laid plans can run into some challenges. Outside of really big disasters or events that sort of change the course of the city or the organization, normally we wouldn't recommend making big changes to strategic plans. It really is meant to stay the course. It is a little bit more of an art than necessarily a science in setting those goals and strategies that are appropriate and that provide the level of detail to guide the organization, while also making sure that they aren't too prescriptive so that the city or organization is limited when those instances come up.
Probably a lot of our people watching this video are wondering, how can Boulder City residents participate in this planning effort?
Absolutely. Well, resident input is a cornerstone of the strategic planning input. So for all the folks who are watching this, I hope that they know that we are so excited to hear from them and hear all of their ideas for the future of Boulder City and where the city needs to go as we look into those 5 years. There are going to be many opportunities for participation. The more immediate one is a resident survey. Please participate, and also thank you in advance for your participation. In addition to that survey, which will be available throughout the month of February, we'll also be holding listening sessions with residents. There will be multiple listening sessions throughout March.
Thanks so much for that information. I'm actually really excited to hear from the listening sessions and the survey results, just to see what everyone's priorities are.
Absolutely.
So how long does it typically take to develop a new strategic plan?
That's truly based on the community. So our particular approach is going to be one that takes about 8 months from start to finish. That's pretty typical. I wouldn't recommend a strategic planning process that goes over a year, but you need time to make sure that you're having the conversations with folks in the community, with the stakeholders, that folks are familiar with where we've been. And again, to go back to what I shared earlier, celebrating where you've come in the last few years is an important part of strategic planning. But it also provides an opportunity to pause, really take stock of where you're at and think about where you want to go. And those conversations take time. So again, anywhere between 6 months to a year, but this 8-month period is really going to be focused on providing stakeholders and residents many opportunities to participate and make their voices heard.
So we've talked about what the plan is, how long it takes, but what do you think the biggest challenge is creating and sticking to a plan?
Metrics are always going to be one of the things that I love most. So I think that there's a lot of creativity that goes into strategic planning when you're ideating, when you're thinking about the things that can be a priority. But at the end of the day, it's the metrics that build in that accountability for the city that really make sure that you're making progress. Those are useful tools for residents and citizens to be able to look at to gauge progress. And it also helps those folks in elected official positions, city council, have really clear metrics that they can use to measure the progress that's being made.
I'm just so excited to be working with you and to go through this process. It's really rewarding to be able to help the community move forward for the next 5 years in this planning effort. So again, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Be sure to check out Tedder Talks once a month at bcnv.org/Tedder. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next month for the next Tedder Talks.